I
Is
guess the question is, like, for you, what do you see more often? Like one moment that is a really big shift for people, or do you see like consistency over time breaking down this habit that they've developed?
I think you just answered your own question. Um, so people pleasing itself is not a behavior; it's a category of behaviors, right? And so when you think of it categorically, right, you go, okay, well, so what are the constellation of these behaviors on an arc? Um, well, you've got dishonesty, you've got having no boundaries, you've got nice guy syndrome, you've got like all these kind of ways of being that are empirically bad for you. So rather than trying to solve for X, right? What you do is you say, okay, I'm going to solve for one of those at a time, which means you're basically creating a breaking habit, right? The challenge is that people pleasing is insidious for a few reasons, but one of them is that you probably will be dealing with it forever, right? Because it was your default way of living, right? So, and the problem is you can't be a people pleaser and not be pretty agreeable. I'm a pretty agreeable guy, right? You wouldn't know that by looking at my Instagram channel, but I'm a pretty agreeable dude. And I will pretty much go along to get along, not because I did not well. I'll go along because I don't care, right? Like if somebody wants to go out and get tacos, and I don't particularly want tacos, like I'm not going to make a big fuss out of it. I'm going to eat tacos. I just don't give a shit, right? And so I'm agreeable in that way. Agreeableness can turn to pleasing. Excuse me. Can turn to pleasing very quickly if you're not careful. And then when you do that, then you kind of start to backslide and you go, oh shit, I'm giving up my boundaries and all that starts to happen. So um, I think the moral of the story, where people pleasing is concerned, is it's something that I know that I have to keep an eye on. It's very much like addiction in that way.
Hmm.
And they tend to mirror each other, addiction and people pleasing. They're both rooted in toxic shame. They're both, um, you know, exceedingly bad for your mental and physical health. Like, so, you know, to answer your question, I think it's a lifelong thing that you'll be working on. And some days will be better than others. Just, you have to stay the course and constantly be in kind of in set of mind.
Where's the threshold? You talked about like tacos, you would just agree, you'd become agreeable. But where's the threshold between being agreeable and sacrificing um, your own good for the good of others?
Jack, that's a good question. Um, I don't know. There's I think that's different for everybody. But I think the way you can tell is how your body's reacting to the decision. So you know what it feels like when you're nervous, right? You know what it feels like that you're going the wrong. So somebody invites you to a party and you don't really want to go. You say yes anyway. That will immediately give you anxiety, right? So I think it's more about recognizing when it happens rather than trying to program against when it can't happen,
Interesting.
right? So does that make
It's like
sense?
this following of the, yeah, it's like this following of an internal compass almost. You're the one that has to make that decision for yourself.
Right. So, if somebody calls me and says, do you want to go to my birthday party? Most of the time I'm going to say yes because I love a good birthday party and I really like cake. Most of the time I'm going to say yes to that. So Jack says, do you want to come to my party? Yeah, let's do it. But some people I don't care for. So if they were to call me and say so and I agreed, and I felt immediately as though I wish I hadn't done that, then I may have people pleased. I may have been worried more about what other people thought than what I thought. So um, I think it's different and it's fluid. It's like it will also change as you grow up. Your boundaries will either get better or worse, and the idea is for them to get better. I heard a wonderful analogy about this. It's like if you took yourself and you like if you took yourself and you put yourself in a bowl or in like a jar of jelly, right? and then you put everybody else in their own little jars of jelly. The jars of jelly are the boundary, right? So you put the top on that, and that's where you live, and then everything else around that jar of jelly is how you should operate within the scope of your world. And I think the easiest way to get really good at not being a pleaser is to get
What are
right.
some of your
Because
boundaries?
I mean, I have a lot of them. I have tons of boundaries. I don't tolerate people that are unkind. Is one of those. I don't discuss religion, money, or politics with my friends or family ever. Not because I'm incapable, but because it just causes problems, right? Especially right now, God. So the so I have kind of boundaries in that vein. I also have boundaries around money. Like I don't lend money to my friends or family either. If I'm going to give you money, I'm going to give you money, right? I just say if you want to pay me back, do. But I'm not going to have that moment with my friends and family, and that means I very often don't give anybody any money because I just don't. I don't want to do that. So really, but my boundaries though are built around a Bill of Rights. I think I talked about this on another podcast that I was on recently. That you have to understand what your rights are in this world, and how you're allowed to operate and show up. It's not about everybody else always. Excuse me, Jack. It's been a long day.
All good, dude. Interesting. A bill of rights for your own boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is
So
that something
for
that you
go
go
ahead.
ahead? Is that something that you consciously draft out? So you consciously
Yes,
take time and write down your bill of rights.
do I do. So inside of my Bill of Rights is things like I'm allowed to be happy. I'm allowed to have my emotions. I'm allowed to lend my stuff when I feel like it. I'm allowed to tell my girlfriend I don't want to do that. I'm allowed to have sexual boundaries. I'm allowed to have all the, I'm allowed to have, these things in my life. And through that Bill of Rights, I've been able to help myself kind of overcome this mindset of how do I make everybody else happy, right? Because they're allowed to have these things too, but I'm allowed to have them.
So talk about the other side of having a bill of rights. Right now, it sounds like you have structure in your life that allows you uh, to accept the things that you want in your life and to
Mm-hmm.
weed out the things that you don't want in your life. What did your life look like before that bill of rights, and how has that impacted your mental health?
Man, that's been a long time. Let's see. Before my Bill of Rights, um, I was a placative, people pleasing puss bag. You can quote me on that.
Okay.
And I would let women walk all over me, and
hmm
I would constantly chase approval, and I would constantly felt like I was not enough. And by developing this Bill of Rights, being cognizant of who I wanted to be and what that person needed, I've been able to create a really good life for myself.
Did your did you see immediate success with your bill of rights, or did you have to wait it
No,
out?
there's no such thing as immediate success. How many podcasts have you done?
This will be my 30. This is my 32nd episode when it
Oh
releases.
shit, good for you. Puts you in the top 1% of podcasters. Did you know that?
I know that's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's wild. Most people quit after 8 episodes. Um, so you're in the top 1%. To get the top 1% of 1%, it will happen all at once, right? It'll happen overnight, but it'll take you 1,000 episodes, right? So the the key to that is understanding that your Bill of Rights is a living document. It's something that you carry in your heart with you, and you practice it. It's like anything else. You get good at anything you practice, including not practicing.
Thank you for watching this clip of the Grateful Podcast featuring Nick Pollard. If you want to see the full episode, click the link right here. It's phenomenal. If you like this, you will love that. Click it. You will not regret it. I know you want to. Right here. Come on. Come on.